Hello, I'm Bood. Welcome to the channel and welcome to another video. As always, thanks for joining me. Make sure if you enjoy this, you hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, get involved in the comments. I would love to know what you think about it, and go and check out my other content if you haven't already. So, this is A.F.C. Richmond, the famous club off the TV featuring the awesome Ted Lasso. Now, I've wanted to do this for a while really, a big fan of the show. And I've done something similar actually in the past with another favourite fantasy football show of mine, Dream Team with Harchester United. I've done that twice now, where I've made Harchester United, made all the players and had a bit of fun. I did it on FM18 like 4 years ago, which is crazy. And then I did it on FM19 3 years ago. Enjoyed them both, and I've had a lot of people ask me to redo it. And even though it's fun, and I love it because the star striker of Harchester United was called Carl Fletcher, and I used to love how they all called him Fletch, and it always stuck in my mind when I was a young lad. And when I had my first son, I named him Fletcher, and I call him Fletch, genuinely after Carl Fletcher from Dream Team. But I've done it twice, and it's an old show now. This isn't, and I really wanted to do this. Now, I think people might have done something similar. I know someone's made a database on Sorry Outside, I think, which is okay. I looked at it, it was alright, but I wanted to do it myself. And I've built this database from the ground up, every detail myself, apart from one thing which I will talk about later. And it's took a bit of work here and there, but I think, I've done a good job. I've tried to be as true as possible. It is hard, the information out there isn't great, but I think I've put together a squad, some staff, all the stadiums and so on. There had to be a little bit of artistic creativity with certain things, but I'll go through all that. Hopefully you're going to enjoy it. Now, before we get into it though, I will say if you check the description down below, you will find some save files. There'll be a save file from the start, and I might put the end save file in just in case you want to start there. There will also be a download link for all the graphics if you want the right logos, the kits, all the players' faces, etc. So, enough of that. Let's have a look at AFC Richmond and Ted Lasso. Welcome to AFC Richmond. Now, like I said, I've built this up from the ground up myself, every player, every aspect of it, apart from one thing. Now, I did start to make the kits myself. I was looking for all the bits, and I thought, oh, God, I'm going to be able to do this. I don't tend to do exact kits, replicas. I just usually create my own. And then I thought, Sorry Outside is brilliant. I've no affiliation with them, but I use them for everything. I'll put a link to them in the description of every one of my videos. I get all my graphics from there, and I found these kits there. Someone else has created them. That's the only thing I haven't done, so they're pretty cool. I'm happy with them. Everything else I have done. So here we are, and yeah, I am buzzing. So AFC Richmond are based in Richmond in West London. The nickname is the Greyhounds. They were founded in 1897. As you can see, we've got Ted Lasso as the manager. Roy Kent, of course. He's everywhere. Roy Kent. He's the captain. Tyler Shannon is the vice captain. So I've added a few things, a bit of creativity. Rivals, I've gone for a few clubs in West London. We've got of QPR, Fulham and Chelsea. But I went for a main rival, Brentford, because when I looked on the map, they're just across the water really. They're not too far, they're quite close. And Brentford didn't really have a derby or anything. They've got rivals, of course. So I've made Brentford and Richmond arch rivals. Chelsea the lowest, I think, and I think it's Fulham and QPR, but Brentford are the main ones. And I've created a derby purposely for that to add a bit of spice, called the Cross Thames Derby. So the course they play at Nelson Road, we'll look at that in a minute. Capacity is 25,500. Grass is pretty average because it's pretty old. It was built in 1903. 14,000 season ticket holders, decent price for the season ticket and match day ticket, because Richmond, it's a pretty well-to-do area. Moving over to the general page, and again, this is where I've had to get a little bit creative with their history in the league, because you can't really find anything apart from what you know from the TV show. I couldn't find anything. There is a fan site wiki page where I got most of my information from, but it isn't too in-depth. So I've been a bit creative with it. So just like the TV show, they've been relegated there, and then they've been promoted, and then they're going to be back in the Premier League hopefully for season 3. So all this I've just made up myself. So I just made them like an average team, staying in the Premier League a long time, but finishing mid to low table. I had them stay in the Championship for a little bit here. They got promoted back in 2008. The turn of the century, they're a bit of a yo-yo team. Now, behind my head, you might notice some yellow text. This is a bit of a challenge. So if you download this and you want to play it, you're going to have a bit of a challenge in your hands. And so is Ted Lasso in this simulation. I've put the club under a 1-year transfer ban because I wanted the squad to stay the squad. I didn't want them to bring players in straight away and ruin it. I wanted it to be all the players from the TV show for at least one season. Plus it'll be a bit of added spice for you if you do play it. So yeah, can't sign anyone till next summer. But yeah, it's hard work doing this, you know, and it's reminding me when my custom series comes about how much work I've got to do, because I'll have a lot more to do when I bring that out. So of course they play at Nelson Road, and in the TV show they use Selhurst Park, which is Crystal Palace's ground. And I think on that other database I saw on Sort It Outside, they just turned Crystal Palace into Richmond. So Crystal Palace didn't exist. I've not done that. I've not got rid of any club. I've created Richmond as a brand new club. And then what I did was, no offence, I think it was between Norwich and someone else. I tossed a coin and Norwich lost. So I moved Norwich down to the Championship. And then the weakest team, rep-wise, according to the game in each division, I've just moved them all down one. So no one's gone. Everyone still exists. But of course, they play in Richmond. And I've talked about this before, but I used to work all over the country. And Richmond was one of the places I used to go to work. And it's pretty nice. It's a nice looking place, but it's a decent sized stadium. It's very old though, but again, this is something that'll give you something to do if you play. You've got something to work towards. You can expand it if you want, not too much. Maybe you can work towards building a new one. Same with the training facilities. Now they use Hayes and Yedin or Yeading. They use their stadium as a training ground in the TV show. Now I can't remember him saying what the training ground's called, so I've just called it what it's called in real life, Beaconsfield Road. It isn't their stadium. I've created a new one. So you've got a nice little training facility, but all your training facilities need upgrading, your youth recruitment needs upgrading. There's stuff to achieve. Now again, I have watched the show, but I couldn't remember, and I tried looking online, but I don't think they've ever won anything, and I thought it'd be quite cool anyway to give them a blank slate trophy wise. Every time they've been promoted from the Championship, from what I created, I made them go up second, so they've got no trophies, right? Again, blank slate for you. A trophy cabinet for you to fill, or maybe even Ted Lasso in this simulation. Now when it comes to the staff, I've only made 5, including Ted himself. So we've got Rebecca Welton, you can't look at, but you will see her face if you take the job, and she'll welcome you to the club. We've got Leslie Higgins from the show. He is a managing director. Of course we've got Ted, and we're going to look at him in a minute because we can. We've got his assistant coach Beard, and we've got Nathan Shelley, who's like the main coach in the TV show. Now, one thing I have done is I made sure that the computer will give you a few extra staff. So all the other staff aren't from the TV show, they're all regens. But again, it's up to you. Do you want to keep them? Keep them. If you want to flesh them out, do that. I'll always advise that on any save on Football Manager. Sort your staff out. So let's look at Ted. So of course he's an American. If you know the TV show, you'll know he's an American football coach. He gets brought over because the chairman, she inherits the club off her husband in a divorce. And because it's his pride and joy, she wants to ruin it because he's been cheating on her. So she basically hires the worst manager possible, hoping to send them under. They end up liking each other. You know, if you watch the show, you'll know. If you haven't, I don't want to spoil it. So obviously, he hasn't really got a clue about things. He's not good at coaching teams at all because he don't know about soccer, football. But he is a good mental coach because he's like that in the show, I think. Good with kids because he's just a good bloke. It's his mentals he can adapt because he has to, coming from where he's come. Massive culture shock. He's very determined. He's a great motivator. He's brilliant at doing stuff like that. Great people manager as well. So he's that kind of manager. His mentals are great. It's everything else that's not, like his tactical knowledge, which he's 4. Of course, he's got his trusty assistant, and he's pretty similar to him, to be fair. But I have given him a bit more tactical knowledge because, I mean, in the TV show, I think he reads loads of books to get himself clued up on stuff, and he knows a lot more about football, a lot more than Ted. And then we've got Nathan Shelley, who really is like the tactics behind the team. He's like, he gets promoted to coach, turns into being a great coach, and at the end of season 2, something happens. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it. But yeah, you've got one good coach there. Now, you've got a 24-man squad, but when you'll start, you'll have Kukoc in the under-23s, but he is a character from the TV show. He's one of the youngest players. He's got a good potential ability, I think it's minus 8.5. So he's not bad. He could become a very good player if you play him in training right. But yeah, he's in the under-23s when you start. Everyone else in the first team squad is from the TV show, but like I said, there's a couple of players there's zero information on. Can't find a picture, can't find any info on. so I've left them. But you have got a pretty filled out, fleshed out squad. We'll have 2 players in every position and 3 goalkeepers. So let's quickly go through them. So I'm going to have a quick scroll through the squad, give you a quick overview. Hopefully you'll download it, have a look yourself, and hopefully you'll download it and have a go yourself. That's the best thing. Right, Tom O'Brien in goal, 25-year-old Englishman. We've got Sam Obisanya, centre-half and right-back from Nigeria. Paul Reynolds, centre-half, Irishman. Robbie Roberts, Zimbabwean, can play up front and cover on the left. Danny Rojas, who's up front, can cover on the right. Andreas Rosenfeld, defensive midfielder from Denmark. Tyler Shannon from Bolivia, central midfielder. Jamie Tart, one of the main stars of the show, bags of talent, bit of a knob. If you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. Tommy Winchester, one of your best players, I think, centre half, Englishman. Thierry Zerou, goalkeeper from Canada. Mo Bumberkatch, central midfielder. Gareth Canterbury, left back. Got Declan Cockburn. My wife's boss is called Cockburn, but he says he's called Coburn. So you could say it's Coburn, but he's a bit of a cock, so I call him Cockburn. Anyway, Jack Dawkins, central midfielder. Martin DeMatt, goalkeeper. Got Arlo Dixon, right back. Jeff Goodman, left back. Colin Hughes on the left wing. Roy Kent, captain, legend. Now in the series, he's a bit older. He's coming towards the end of his career. But I didn't want him to just die out on you very quick. I wanted you to have Roy Kent for a little bit longer, so I made him 33 years old. In the show, he is a former Champions League winner with Chelsea. You've got Jan Mass, centre-half. Isaac McAdoo, centre-half. Kyle McCracken can play all over the front. Richard Montlar in the middle. So back to the squad, and when it comes to the contract length, it varies, as you can see, from 24 to 25. No one's going to be leaving you after a season unless you want them to leave. The wages are pretty average. It's not the lowest wage bill in the league, but it's not too bad. Now, Jamie Tart's your best player. Kukoc in the reserves is your best potential player. Jamie Tart's going to be your best player. I think his max ability is about 175, which is very good. But if you think of Haaland, he's like 190. Ronaldo, 195. You know, so he's your best player. You've got another couple of good players like Roy Kent and Danny Rojas, main stars of the show. Now, I'd say your B team, and something that shocked me really, you'll see in a bit, but your B team's average. It's like bottom end Prem, more Championship kind of levels, like 130 ability, 135 ability. So, you know, this squad isn't packed with superstars. But that's all part of the challenge. So just taking over the club for a second, just to show you a few extra things. And there she is, the lovely Rebecca Welton, your new boss and owner of A.F.C. Richmond. A bit of a MILF, to be fair. Although if you ever saw her in Game of Thrones, she definitely wasn't a MILF. I'll be honest. I didn't realise that was her. But yeah, so I want to show you the finances. I've not got giddy at all. You've got 19 million in the bank. 5 million to spend, but you can't spend it. And you've got no wiggle room in those wages. But like I said, you've got no money to spend. It's all going to be about you trying your very, very best to stay in the Premier League. Same for Ted on this simulation. If they stay in the Premier League, you get Premier League money, transfer window opens, free for all then. Have a bit of fun. But it should be a good challenge if you're getting a bit bored at this time of year with Football Manager. The club is in no debt. When it comes to the sponsorship, I added a TV deal because they're on TV, aren't they? You get 5 million a year for that. They've got a main kit sponsorship, which I think is 10 million over the next 4 years, and I don't know what will happen after that. And then the rest of it is just computer generated. So, you know, this club isn't mega rich. The owner herself, I've not made her mega rich. She's wealthy, but she's not no tycoon. She's not going to be giving you 100 million in the summer to spend. You're going to have to really try hard at this. But I mean, look at that. This is like my dream. If you know me, if you knew, you won't. I love staff. Look at all the spaces you've got. Look at all the work you could do here. And I bet you could make it really, really good, to be fair. So then what can Ted do? I was interested to see. So I've holidayed and I've saved it every year. And I've stopped at one point in 9 years, which is a bit random for me. I usually do like 5 or 10. But I've stopped at 9 years for a specific reason. For you guys, really. Might give you another challenge. And yeah, it was fun to just check out and look through. Very interesting, really, for me as a Football Manager geek. Hopefully you're going to enjoy it. So let's jump forward into the future and see what happened to Ted and his boys. Welcome to the year 2030. It's the 24th of June. Now, one of the reasons I've stopped at a specific date is their manager at the time, and you might notice in the Championship, has just retired. So I thought, sod it, stop it right here. When I saw it flash up, I stopped it because I thought, I'll put this save file out there for you. There's no manager, you're not taking anyone's job, and you could maybe take them over here and try and change things. And there's a few things that could be fun to do, really. But first, let's look at the manager history. And I found this interesting because Ted Lasso lasted about 2.5 years, nearly 3 years. And it was never going to last the entirety of it. But in them 2 and a bit years, he won 2 trophies. He won the Carabao Cup in his first year. He had a bit of an easy run, I'll show you in a bit. And then the year after, he won the Europa Conference League. But then I think the year after that, I think they got relegated. So he got the sack. Or they were getting relegated, they sacked him. The guy came in, couldn't save him. That guy, I think, was Igor Tudor. Obviously, he's never won anything. He lasted over 3 years, to be fair to him. 2 relegations, 2 promotions, kind of shows you what's happened to the club. Marcelino came in, didn't last a year. He got the sack, and then they just had this guy who got relegated and has just gotten back to promotion, back to the Premier League by finishing 4th and beating Blackburn on penalties in the playoff final. So yeah, I thought it was a perfect spot for you, really. Jump in here, quite good, because other things have happened. Rebecca Welton sold up in 2027, 3 years ago, and Jean-Luc Vieira, a tycoon. Quite a few tycoon takeovers I've noticed on this year's game. He's taken over. Although 2 years later, he scaled down the funding, but that's probably because he got relegated. But he's still got a bit of money in the bank, hasn't he? He has, hasn't he? So it'd be interesting to see. So I'm going to take him over right now, and let's have a look how much money you would have if you do jump in at this point. Not a lot. Although you got 31 to spend, you don't get any in the bank. So he really has scaled back the funding. So I've no idea what will happen when you do step up to the Premier League. But again, it's another challenge. This is that time of year now already. The game's been out a good few months. We've all played the team we support. You've probably all done a few different random ones. Something like this, especially if you are a fan of Ted Lasso. Or even if you're not, it's something different. Maybe you could challenge yourself here. Because they have become a bit of a yo-yo club. So as we know, they got promoted there at the end of season 2 on the TV show. This was Ted's first year, mid-table. And he started off really well. Of course, he won the Carabao Cup. The next year, they finished 17th, so he nearly got relegated. But winning the Conference League, obviously got into that through the Carabao Cup, obviously. Possibly saved his job. The year later, he got sacked 2/3 into the season, I think. So, and they ended up getting relegated anyway. Obviously, they finished 4th, so they must have won the playoffs. Got relegated again. Then they finished 2nd. So they still didn't win any of the bloody trophies. They still never won the Championship. And then they finished 14th, which is good. They got relegated, kept the manager. He's just gotten promoted, and then straight away he's decided to retire. So it is Ted Lasso. It's all about Ted. I want to know, what's Ted been up to? Well, he's had a couple of jobs, to be fair to him. So when he got sacked by Richmond, he spent a year out of the game. Then he was Millwall manager. Lasted about a season from the looks of it. Had 2 years out of the game, and then he had a year at Rotherham, and he's gone again. So at the minute, he's unemployed. I feel pretty bad for him, really, because he did win. I didn't think he'd win anything. I didn't know how he'd do, because he's more of a mental manager, but that's what I usually do. When I create my managers, whatever attributes I've got to play with, depending on what level I'm at, I usually stick everything on my mentals, mate, and then bring coaches in to do the coaching. I always think that helps you be more successful. Now, it did make Roy Kent want to be a coach because, again, if you play it, when he retires, you could bring him on as a coach. Don't like he's become any good. When he left Richmond in 2024, he went out to the Middle East, played there for a couple of years and retired, and he's done nothing since. Unfortunately, Coach Beard isn't on the game anymore. I remember jumping in at one point and he was still about, but once he left when Ted left and didn't get a job for years, and then obviously the computers decided to delete him, which is pretty sad, isn't it? Jamie Tart, the big star, Billy Big Balls from the TV show, randomly came from City in the TV show. He's on loan at first. I think he signs properly. But yeah, went to City. Now, he's a good player. I mean, when he was younger, he was rapid, he can finish. There's just bits about him makes him a bit of a twat. Try to make him like he is on the show. Now, I just want to go back here because I didn't notice it before. But Ted should have been a favoured personnel. I know he only lasted a couple of years. But Ted, for all his faults, has won them their only 2 trophies. No one else has done better than that. You've had big time managers and they've just gone up and down, got relegated, got sacked. He still won them 2 trophies, and I think that is absolutely brilliant. But I'm not going to go through every season, but we're going to look at Ted's. Why not? So he starts off brilliantly, undefeated in pre-season. The beginning of the season was epic, and one thing I've noticed about Ted's time at Richmond was he has good patches, bad patches, good patches, bad patches. That full consistency was lacking, but it's random in a way. But anyway, knocked Brentford out of the Carabao Cup. Knocked Fulham out, another rival. Knocks Wolves out in the 4th round. Now, when he got to the quarterfinals, he's got Chelsea, but then I noticed he's beaten Chelsea there 1-0 before going on a 5-game losing streak, but then knocks them out. Fair enough, beats Brentford again in the league. Gets Charlton in the semis. No offence to Charlton, but that's an easy path to the final, really. So yeah, battered them 3-0, 4-0. Gets Brentford again in the FA Cup, beats them, and of course picks up that trophy, which I think is amazing. Danny Rojas beating Newcastle 1-0. Then Chelsea get their revenge. Last game of the season though, wins the derby again, 3-1. The following year, in his 2nd full season, pre-season started great. Obviously he's made signings, spent quite a bit of money. Start of the season wasn't as good as last year, but he's got European games to get through. But again, good bits of form, and then bad bits of form. Gets knocked out of the Carabao Cup on penalties by Manchester United. Gets through that group stage. I mean, fair enough. Got Lazio in it and all that good stuff. Not the last you'll see of Lazio, because I'll just go all the way down here, sod it. He beat him 3-0 in the final. He got Clermont in the semis, so you know, easy. Galatasaray got past them. Olympiacos got past them. So yeah, 2 trophies I think was epic, but you can kind of see if you look at the form here, especially in the league, why they finished 17th and nearly got relegated, like close to it. Last game of the season stuff, I think. On to his 3rd season, the year he got the sack. Pre-season was great again. He spent more money, but yeah, when you're looking at all that colour, it's not great. He got out of the group though in the Europa League, but yeah, too much red there. And then when you go down, it gets worse. You're like, look at this. Look at all this. Gets knocked out of the Europa League by Bayer Leverkusen, and I think he got sacked. He would have been sacked after the Palace game. I think he got sacked. Yeah, definitely. So he got sacked after that, because that's not great, that Ted. And the next manager came in and couldn't really change it anyway. Did beat Leeds though, 2-0. So there we have it, that is A.F.C. Richmond. Hopefully you enjoyed that. It was a bit of fun to put together. It was more for you in a way. I want you to have a go with it. Now, I'm not putting out as a database, because whenever they do an update, codes change. As soon as there's an update, the graphics won't work, basically. So it's best keeping it as a save file, because them codes are locked in. They will match up with all the logos, the kits, the players' faces, and that's very important to me for the realism of it. So I will be putting the start save file down below, and the save file we've just looked at, where the manager's just retired, you've just been promoted back to the Premier League, you haven't got a ton of money. What can you achieve? Let me know if you have a go with it. Let me know what you think of it anyway. Hopefully you did enjoy a look through it. Feel free to just download it and have a good nose at it yourself. I did try and stay as true as possible. Like I said, if you're an hardcore Ted Lasso fan, maybe I got something wrong, but it is what it is. It's just a bit of fun, and I really appreciate you watching. It means the world to me. So stay happy, stay safe. Make sure you come back for any future videos. You know you want to. Loads more coming soon on the channel. I'm Bood. Bye bye.